Hello and welcome once again to Wars Going On. I'm Arcturus and we're here on the Forerunners server to bring you the latest in what's going on in Watcher of Realms. I'm joined by Sebastian Keynes once more. It's nice to have you back.
Oh, you missed me. Yeah,
I
thanks you,
did miss
man.
you.
I know I ditched you for a couple of weeks, but I did have a very big storm, and I think I even shared some pictures with you as to how close that eye came to my place. So,
Yeah.
but everything is fine now. We didn't have any flood waters, which was another concern to worry about. So, but yeah, 2 weeks it took to get back to normal, but we're back. So let's do some Watcher Rum stuff.
Okay, so as ever, this is a community-based podcast. Please do remember to get involved in the comments, to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I have been putting out a couple of shorts recently. Do remember to share those as well, because that does help get more awareness about the channel and get more people coming along to us. So today, we've had recently we had another patch on the Forerunners server, and it's big change to one hero who was not considered to be all that great.
Yeah, let's before we get into the meaty of the patch, which is Kai. This is his
Yeah.
patch. There were some other minor changes, and there's also some news that we have here in the States regarding, I guess it would be the companies that are running the software for our phones or our mobile devices or our emulators right now, which is going to have an impact, I think, in mobile gaming. So let's cover those little tidbits at first. But yeah, this is a Kai patch. There's no question about it.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, if you want to go over the details, I'm vaguely aware that there's been some moves to try and break up some of the monopolies the tech monopolies that exist.
So no, so I just wanted to briefly bring it up because this is, I think, the ongoing debate going on too between the European Union and Apple right now in your end, right? Which is the accessibility that Apple is giving to the developers in terms of
Yeah.
third-party apps and all these payments and the background and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And for those of you that are here in the States, we all know that this all started with Fortnite. Fortnite was essentially saying, you guys, we don't see the big deal. We should be allowed to sell this stuff. You should be allowing us to place our own kind of platforms into your operating systems, so we are able to sell. And in a way, it bypassed Google's ability to collect fees when you're purchasing stuff in their Google Play Store, or it bypassed Apple Store when you were purchasing stuff through their store. They figure out a way. So there was a third party that they made deals with, right? So we were able to get in around that. Just recently, though, there was a judge that pretty much told Google, nah, you're monopolizing this. So now what you have to do within the next 6 months is you're going to have to start formatting things. So now people can start putting up essentially their own stores into the devices on part with yours. So the way that I can put this as an example is, let's just say for kicks and giggles, Coda Shop or Smile One decided, we're going to create our own app store and we want to put it into Google Play Store. Google can't say, no, that violates our terms. It's pretty much, they have to allow it. They have to pretty much say, you can do this. And then any other parties or any other developers that want to sell any type, like in Watcher of Realms, W Gold, through these stores instead of Google Play, they can do that. You cannot no longer monopolize it. So essentially, what it is right now is, from what I'm understanding, there are two things going on. One is Google is going to start trying to make sure that can be done, but at the same time, they do have some appeals that they can go through. So there might be one through a district court, and eventually, I think that this is going to end up in the United States Supreme Court. where they're a little more favorable to companies. But I do want to see how they see this whole thing about Google and Apple being monopolies. I think that that's going to be the big thing there. But this is, again, hopefully, cross my fingers, it's not going to affect any type of mobile games that we play in terms of who can roll updates and who can't, because Google or Apple don't want them to use a third party, pay service for us to get product into the game. So we'll see how that plays out, but that's essentially what's going on.
Yeah, and why this is such a big deal, you might not think about it, is why it's a big deal to you, but it's a big deal because these stores have to pay, the app developers have to pay like 30% of all in-app purchases to the App Store provider. So Google or Apple are getting 30% every time you buy any in-game option. So if you like take up one of these offers, it's like 99 cents or whatever. So they're getting 30% straight to Google, straight to Apple. If you're not using W Gold, if you bought W Gold, and so there is obviously a Coda Shop or whoever, Smile One get a cut, but it might be even 10%, 15%, 20%. It doesn't matter. It's still more favorable to Moonton. It's more favorable to us as the player base because we're getting a better deal. And this whole thing with Epic has been going for a long time, and it has, we've seen with kicked off with ByteDance and TikTok, and then that's had a knock-on effect into Watcher of Realms, which was making quite a lot of broad coverage in the fact that this game hadn't had an update for so long. So yeah, it does impact the player base, and it is important that these things are going on. But hopefully, if this we as the end users should benefit from this in the long run.
That is essentially what, because then hopefully, like Coda Shop and Smile One, they throw this 10% off. Come over here, you get more for your money, instead of trying to them compensate and sell the product based on the cut that they have to give Apple and Google. So so that's part of what's going on here in the States. So let's just cross our fingers. Let's hope that this doesn't come down and Google just a spite says, no, you can't update apps anymore. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting couple of months while this is fought and refought in the various courts. But hopefully we won't have Google blocking updates to Watcher of Realms for months while they try and take on.
Well, I mean, for now, I don't think Fortnite can put their stuff on Apple and Google because of this, because they all started this thing. So they were banned. So are they going to start banning everybody else? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that it's just going to come into eventually they're going to have to adjust to the new norm. And they cannot be monopolizing this thing because that's essentially what they're doing, given that they're the two main operating systems right now. So,
Amazon Fire OS is not exactly worth talking about. So it's not a big space.
Yeah. No, that's Jeff Bezos has always wanted to do his own thing there. So, but no, it's Apple, Google. That's essentially what it is right now.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the patch notes. So minor things. Let's go over the minor things. I like this one particularly because sometimes I can sneak in some good mana and some good guardian pieces sometimes. But the Dwarves Association, finally, after you clear all 18s, now you're just going to see red gear.
Yeah, that's a lie. I've been seeing blue gear.
You've seen yellow?
I've not seen yellow, but I have seen blue. I've seen blue gear.
You've seen blue?
I'm pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been refreshing. I have not seen blue. I have not seen yellow. Everything is red now for me.
No, I have seen blue. Oh, there was one. There's one. It's there.
Where? Oh, there it is. Okay.
There it is. Right in the middle of the screen. Juggernaut. It's like, hang on, I'm supposed to be all red.
Yeah. So they haven't fixed it completely then.
It's not fixed completely, but it's an improved situation. But yeah.
Look, you have more shots to get a guardian or a calamity piece or anything like that in your inventory. So that's essentially what
I'm working on my Hawkeye sets again.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so that was minor change number one. Okay, so hopefully
Yeah.
they fixed the blue. Maybe it's just a coding thing right now.
Yeah,
The
probably.
other one was the Honor Gauntlet. So at least they're taking some of the recommendations to heart. We did say that the stun was a little bit too overpowered, so they decided
Yeah.
we're going to decrease this by 1 second. It's a menacing one. But now the skill cooldown goes from 40 seconds to 45 seconds. So I
Yeah, and they've
still have
obviously
to find the time to jump in there and see how the new adjusted monster stats are coming into play now in the combat. So I can't speak too much about how it is currently going, but definitely from what I had published previously, these changes are going to be decent for the content.
yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. So as well, they've obviously decided that people aren't using the binding shackles skill enough, so they've decided to give that one a buff. So it's gone from 6 seconds to 7 seconds, and I think that's one of the ones that stacks. If I just dive in there just to confirm.
Oh yeah, let's check that. I wasn't sure that any of the captain skills or commander skills did stack.
Definitely the first ones do. Command skills change. So shackles. Upgrades by one level every 30 seconds, with each level inflicting one every extra stack of fatigue. So you can, that stacks now up to 21 seconds. Or is
Okay,
that, oh no, it's not up to 21 seconds. It's now 90, up to 90% for 7 seconds. Which is still
so
pretty,
the more
uh,
yeah, the more you use it, the more the more you're gonna reduce the damage on them.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yep.
that's a bit of a buff because it's an extra second. That demon can do enough damage to your core in that extra second. So yeah, that's considered to be punitive strike was working. I think is working fine.
Yeah.
You're going to use that on chaotic units, and you're going to try to take advantage of that if they don't bring in a healer right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, Colossal I thought was a little bit too, and the sleep one. I'm kind of going back and forth on the sleep. I like using sometimes the sleep on AoE, but you have to make sure that there's nothing around the heroes that is going to blow up or anything
Yeah.
and wake him up. But if you can be strategic about it, that sleep can come into play as well. But no, usually I'm bringing in Punitive Strike or Colossal.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting game mode. I really haven't had a chance to play it very much, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it develops, especially with heroes like Kagiri making an appearance now, and see whether he's going to drop into the teams for the single target.
Yeah, well, it's some type of the nightmare, or maybe somebody gets sneaky with something with watchers, but they're gonna need
Yeah,
a good lord for that to make
yeah,
them pop.
definitely.
So yeah, we'll just see. I think that for me, from my end, on the list that I gave, there are still a lot of modifications that they should think about making before they rolled out this into global. Because as it stands right now, it's really just with the all the fancy stuff that they added and making sure that you can't crowd the spawn point. It's just another, uh, I guess, it's just a build up of what Classic Arena is right now.
Yeah, yeah, and I really wish they had brought those changes straight to Classic Arena, and could have even bypassed some of that, bringing in the Gauntlet. Sorry, and yeah, if we can just get one area of the game right, rather than bringing in lots of different half-hearted game modes, because then you end up with a raid situation where you've got so many things going on that you just can't keep track. And people get overwhelmed. So let's try and keep it a bit more focused, I think, is probably the message to the devs.
Right. Exactly. That's my big thing. And they have to change the maps. It can't just be the same thing because then people are just gonna get just like in Classic Arena, we're just gonna get into our own little rabbit hole and there won't be much variation. They have to spruce it up somehow. Like factions gain some type. Instead of boons, they did commander skill. It's just something else needs to be spiced up in there. And then everything that they added to the Honor's Gauntlet, they should kind of slowly start introducing the classic arena, just to make that content a little bit more viable than it is right now. But people are happy with classic arena trying to chase Lady Alexandra as it is, especially those that have the rosters and the gears where they can hang out in Apex and collect their coins. So they're probably not going to want to see any changes there, but it's needed. We need to increasing the HP, defense, magic resistance of the enemies. That's not going to change it. Trust me. The Apex people already have the gear to bypass all of that. The only ones that you're hurting are the ones that are in the lower tiers. So I think that they're making classic arena worse than they are in terms of improving it.
Yeah,
and then
a
on
lot
top
of
of
unintended consequences. I think they were trying
Yeah.
to do something to make it better, and in fact, they're making it harder for everybody else. So it's not
Exactly.
penalizing the people they need to. I think I said on a previous call, a previous one of these, that they just need to, if you're going to do that, you have it scale. And as you go up the tiers, the damage resistances or the stats of the enemies go up. And it's basically like, you want to be in that tier, you've got to have the gear, you've got to be there. None of this cheesing it. You've got to be able to hold your own in that and take on the enemies on your own right.
Right. So I was talking to Mo, Mo, Dragon Slayers. He likes to do arena. And one of the things he was telling me is in Apex, the Ingrid made up with AoE Arena, he's not noticing a major change. And he thinks that one of the things that really would change that if they wanted to make Air Arena, if they wanted to make Ingrid less efficient on the last couple of waves when it comes to Air Arena, is they need to turn off Ajax's passive, because that's what's enabling that. So if you have Ajax, you're going to be doing just fine with Ingrid. So you didn't really alleviate the problem. You just made it harder for some other people. That's it for the majority of the player base. That's essentially what happened. So.
Yeah, I mean that damage increase, or you bring in something that gives a damage boost, or like even dropping a Magda in the right time might give your team that boost, that damage boost to get through those last stages. Personally, I'm bringing Init in to help in those last stages because he's got that 20. If you late deployment, 20% damage increase just to give me that charge, and then he's maintaining even at 10, not fully skilled, and that's what you do. You're looking for that, you're eking out that extra damage. Now you can do that with constants, you can do it in other ways, but yeah, it's what people are doing.
That the major thing that I'm waiting on in terms of this buff that they did, HP, defense, magic resistance, I'm just waiting for the reviews that are coming from players that are in Plat 2, Plat 3, those that are pushing into Overlord, not the people in Overlord and Apex, because they're the ones that saying we don't see a difference. But I don't think we're actually hearing from the people that have to grind it out to try to get Lady Alexandra.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like when they introduced the points changes in Arena, and we on Forerunners was going, they can't roll this out to global like it is. This is horrible. The people will quit, and they did eventually change it, but not until they'd rolled it out onto global, and people were getting quite upset. But yeah, it's. But again, it wasn't the people who are hanging out in Apex that's stopping. It's the people who are grinding to get to Overlord that it was it was really hurting. And again, this is the same issue. They've tried to do something to slow people getting into Apex, and it's having a knock-on effect on everybody else and not the people that they're trying to impact. So.
And then the last thing is, at least from what I see here, is that they're changing the Oracle trials when it comes to artifact material raid. And that is because you were getting still more points by just cheesing 18 than doing 19 to 22. So hopefully now that we go ahead and farm 22 or 21, we're getting more points than somebody trying to get 3 runs in 18.
Yeah, definitely. It's always going to be one of these things where it depends what you're trying to do. If you want to speed run it, you can't speed run 90 to 22. It's just not possible. But so, yeah, I guess they're trying to find some way of saying, well, if you're getting Wisdom Meteorites, you're getting 1.5 times the points. We don't know what the thing is. There is not an Oracle live at the moment for Artifact Material Raid. But yeah, we'll see when it goes live, and we'll see what the actual impact of this change is.
Yep. So those are the minor things. Hopefully they do come into global because there are some neat changes. But the big one here is what used to be one of our favorite marksmen, I would say, in Kai, the Piercer from the Piercers.
Yeah, I mean Kai. I mean, I'll just bring him up as in the gallery, and we can talk about him before we start actually playing around. So
Okay.
this guy, he looks chonky. He looks the part. He's got
Mhm.
this kick-ass crossbow. He's got this dragon wing cape where he's obviously like a beast slayer. He knows what he's doing. He's like pretty confident about him. And then he hit like a wet noodle, and he had really problematic traps that didn't really place well, and his explosions were more of a joke than anything. And he had this weird mechanic where it was a 30% chance to reset his ultimate that just wasn't quite doing anything. It would go, but I mean, if his ultimate was hitting like a wet noodle, it didn't really do much. So
Right. And at least I would describe him like a budget version of Rasak. That's what pretty much I said. If you want to run him in Torrent, you don't have a lot of AoE damage. You could make him try to, you could make him try to work. You're not going to, unfortunately, get an advantage from the traps because he cannot place them there. But he will do at least some damage to get you into S to finish an Odyssey quest. That's essentially what he would do. But the recent changes that they did to him, at least now, will allow you to try to form a good composition to have you push farther along in that content. But so we can go ahead and go over his new kit, and then you have some clips here that we collected between the two of us to show as well.
Yeah. So the first thing we talk about is the talent. So the talent is probably is a big change for him. So previously, every 4 attacks, he'd stop and place one of these. Every 30 seconds, he'd stop and place one of these traps. But he'd stop attacking in order to do it. Now,
Correct.
he doesn't stop attacking. He's able to maintain doing his damage. He just kind of like throws it out and carries on with his crossbow. But what they have done is change how it places on the tiles, and this is a big impact on how he works. So previously, it was like anywhere in his range he would place the trap. Now he'll only place it on an adjacent tile, and
so we went from his range, especially with the Piercer Lord. It was 10 squares, was it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, with his so he had a little bit more range in terms of placing all these traps. They still lasted 25 seconds. He would have to do 4 basic attacks before he would place one, right? I think that's how we read. And now they're just saying it's not introducing him, and he gets to place one every 25 within the 9 tile range.
Every 15 seconds.
Every 15 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're minimizing the area where we can place these traps. So yes, to that I will say, okay, if you like them better because he was able to place traps all over, I'll concede to that might be considered a nerf to the talent.
Yeah. And so his snap, how the trap works is exactly the same. It's still 100% damage to 3 nearby enemies. I can't remember if it did bonus damage to enemies which are immobilized, but that's now a feature of his kit.
Well, I have here for the one from global. So it was, instead of adjacent, it is now, let's see here. It was every 15 seconds on the next basic attack, he places the trap and then the snare lasts 30 seconds, dealing 25% extra damage
Yeah.
to enemies inflicted. So that last sentence remains for for the new kit.
Okay, so that's the big change in his talent. His basic attack is unchanged. His eradication protocol has had a big change. So this is now after his ultimate fires, he increases the damage dealt of his allies by up to what's that, 20%? For
Yes,
up to 15 seconds. So that's a really good one for a any map where you've got lots of marksmen on the pitch. Don't all have to be in faction. They can all, it just says allied marksmen.
Yep.
So that could be really effective.
Yeah, well, and based on what I've seen, it does play a big factor into a long-term battle with marksmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely, yeah, that's a good passive. They did adjust that fairly well from what it was previously. That little bit about buffing or boosting other marksmen, that's new in comparison to the old one.
His second passive was the one which used to reset his ultimate. Now this has now been changed, so he gets bonus rage when the bombs or cluster bombs hit an enemy, and he gets double. It's a double effect if the enemy is an aerial one. So he gets up to 0.7, which doesn't sound like a lot, but every time, but you're hitting up to 10 units or so with these cluster bombs. Suddenly that's 17% rage. That's that's a fair amount. Oh, sorry, 14% rage, and yeah, he's hitting up to 5 enemies on each tack. So he's gaining range back quickly from that too. Yeah, it's a nice one for him. Could the rage level have been higher? Maybe.
Yeah, I guess, but I think that it might make him. It does bring him back to his ultimate a little bit quicker, a little bit higher. I don't know if you want to get too much into that, but the way that they buff the ultimate, I think that is reasonable with the amount of rage that we have that he builds when those projectiles do damage. Not only that, but we're taking the RNG away, right? That 30% of whether it's going to reload again. That was one of the annoying factors into him, right? Because if you wanted to use him for, let's say, the Torrent, your runs could fluctuate so much based on that 30%.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now you're more consistent. So now you know how to build them, right? You give him speed, you give him some rage. He then comes back to the ultimate quicker. If you want to boost him with a Laurel or somebody else, you can get to that ultimate and do the damage that you need. So, good change.
Yeah, very good change. I'm very much enjoying the change that's been made there. And next onto the ultimate. Now, this is where the real sort of it might not sound like a lot if you read through all of the text. So launches a cluster projectile at the one furthest enemy in range, causing an explosive impact on contact. The explosion does up to 10, hits up to 10 nearby enemies. So remember that 0.7 is now, and if they're aerial, that's 1.4. So that's 14% rage. Then he releases up to 3 small bombs, which then hit enemies. That's additional rage off those as well. So he can regenerate the rage back pretty quickly.
So it used to be 8. Now it's hitting 10. So that's the big thing, right? So that's one. So yes, the rage comes back quicker, like you said, and then that AOE damage on the projectiles on the previous one, you said,
it was.
But in the previous one, it was just random. It would just go all over the field, and if it hit somebody, hit somebody. Now they're actually targeting something.
Yeah.
So so between all the wording, that's essentially two major ones that changed in that there.
Yeah, so it's these cluster bombs are now doing like 550 damage, and the small bombs are doing up to 200% damage. And the skill cost is down to 700, which is a bit lower than it was previously. But yeah, those are really nice. And then his awakenings all got redone as well. So they decreased the interval of the placing the worms there by 5 seconds. It was 15. It's now every 10, and then it will inflict damage, a defense reduction on when it's placed. So 20% death reduction when it's triggered. I think this used to be like his A3, and they've brought it forward.
Yes, it was.
This one's quite nice. A long-range marksman who now only costs 19. So he's probably going to see some use in arena. Actually, thinking about it, he could be up to challenge Nyx. Dare I say it? He's going to be hard to beat Nyx in arena.
It's gonna be, especially with her artifact, unless, and we can talk about it as to what type of exclusive artifact we would make for him. But yeah, Mo asked me the same question. I said it's gonna be hard to replace that Nyx. I don't see it. He will do a little bit more damage, but he's not replacing Nyx. No, there's no chance.
Now, if you stick him behind an Ingrid and you're using him to finish people off, then yeah, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, because you already have. If you do have other marksmen that you're bringing in, he'll buff those as well. So there is something that you can possibly do there, now with that extra the passive change that he had. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I would. I'm not going to completely curtail him out of it, but you need. I would imagine that you need that A2 if you want to bring him in a little bit quicker.
Yeah, you've got to have that lower cost, because I mean, arena at the top end is all about who can get out the most expensive, most powerful units as fast as possible. So if you're suddenly bringing in someone at 19 cost who's able to take out do massive damage like that, it's going to be quite impressive, especially when they've got fast rage regen and they can hit up to 5 enemies when they've got a massive range as well. Yeah, that's going to be quite impressive. Will it top out Ingrid? Probably not, but it's going to be a useful tool for people who don't have Ingrid and are looking for clever ways of using them. So I saw Zaris in anti-air arena the other day because he's able to do such big AoE damage in one corner straight away. You cycle him out, you place him back with something else. But yeah, there are options.
Yep. His A3, I think, makes a big difference now because of those 3 extra.
Yeah, so it goes from 3 to 6. That's great.
Yep. More opportunity to do more damage. Yeah, exactly what it does.
And more rage, because every time one of those hits, you're triggering rage.
Correct. His A4 is just extra penetration, as it was, I think. And then his A5 is just increasing damage to the airborne unit. So
now this
overall,
is lovely. Yeah, this is lovely. So it goes from 20% to 30% to allies every time his ultimate hits somebody for 15 seconds. Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, so in the video that I made, I restricted him to A3 because I saw what he could do with A5, but I didn't want people to lose the point. Just that you don't need to go all the way to A5 to really get what you would probably need from him if you need burst AoE damage. Getting to A2, A3, that's going to be the sweet spot. Now you have a hero that you can play with. So I hope that some of you did not just sell your Kais. If you were not tapped with A5s, that would be disappointing.
I can almost guarantee that Terraria has sold at least one Kai. Because
so we'll see. All right, so where do we go next here with Kai? Because that's what's going to be.
Okay, so I think Immortal Codex is a good place to start. So Furious Torrent. I'm desperately trying to remember if all of my Torrent heroes are geared. The answer is probably not. No, they're not. So now that I'm back and I've edited my team so they're actually geared, we can dive in, and I'll just set this up on a run and we can see what's going on. I will probably speed through this and we'll show to the end to see what the damage stats are. But the idea is we're just going to show off him working alongside some of the more established characters in this. And my game is lagging like hell and I can't do anything. Why is it lagging like hell? Okay, restart. So I'm just going to place these guys down and we're going to see how he works alongside some of the more established heroes for this content. Get Nyx and Kai established on this side, so they're ready to fire off their ultimates as and when they're ready, and at the same time getting the bottom half set off. So far, this is all pretty straightforward. We've got Kai blasting all the tridents at the bottom here, and there he is, slamming into these guys as they come in. Anything that Nyx doesn't take out, he's finishing off really easily.
And then, I mean, the traps don't come into play, so we don't have to worry about the talent here, right? But it's just paying attention to how the ultimate now is behaving and how you can see it. Now is a blast, and then you can see the amount of damage that he's doing around that area, especially with the projectiles also, or the bombs exploding at the projectiles, then go ahead and that's the damage. But
yeah,
that slight change to that ultimate is just his damage.
It makes
now
a big difference to him.
Exactly. And I'm keeping an eye on your rage bar, because to me that's filling out based on the damage that he's doing, is filling out quickly as you compare it to some like your Nyx, right? But your Nyx is only A1 right now. So
yeah, that's true. If Nyx A3 is going to be able to regenerate rage really, really quickly, but this works pretty well. And yeah, as soon as he starts taking things out with his ultimate.
Exactly. And so, but here's the major point is, Arcturus, that we should emphasize is, would you have used Kai in its previous form here?
No, I had tried.
Exactly.
Because I went and it was like, this guy can hit 5 units at once. Why wouldn't I be using him in this? Even if he's only weakening people and other people finish him off. But yeah, I just was finding him a little bit lackluster. The fact that his kit was so based around like you'd only get real bonus damage from his traps, and he couldn't use his traps. Still can't use his traps, devs. Come on, give the guy a chance. But yeah, he's now doing serious damage. He's cycling his rage. He's boosting his allies if his ultimate trick kills someone. So there we go. Boost all his allies speed. In my case, about 18%. Yeah.
He wasn't doing that previously. I mean, he just wiped that line.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun seeing him do this now. I know the people are are upset about the talent because apparently it killed his GBG viability. He's doing more damage with his base or his ultimate. I don't know. They have to test it before they say that it's killing his GBG viability. I don't think it is.
I think it's going to be differently used, but yeah, I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
He's definitely solid anti-air, and there's you can't debate that. So I mean, SS. I have managed to tweak it to SS Plus when I've actually paid more attention to my gear, because I just threw some gear on here to get this. And that's A1. Now, you throw a few more awakenings on him, you have an A3 Nyx that easily get to a higher score. I mean, my best, as you'll see on the screen here, is 155k, I think now, or it might even be 158. Yeah, 159, 1594. That's the best I can do. And that's the team composition I was using. That's the placements I was using. And yeah, it's really reliable. So yeah, he's doing so much better than he was. So where's the run?
Did you try doing the format that I did in my video where I was just letting him fly with Nyx, right? It was like trying to see, can he do something similar to what people were doing with Rosak?
I
But
have tried, but I wasn't as successful with that, which is why I'm using this composition with
yeah.
more people spaced out. But it does seem to be working pretty well. So
Yeah. But
top 100
that
score.
also
So.
think that also plays a part here. Is yours was not a 3, and I think that's what I tried to. It's just he at least is affording you the possibility to jump into the double S plus if you have Iovar, right, or somebody else that you can maybe the Aracha comp, but those just the gear was insane. But yeah, it's just I mean for this and areas that you need a lot of AoE damage. He's fine. He's doing a lot better than when he was before.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he's definitely a good addition to the team now.
All right. So, do we want to do now? Talk about our GR3. Did you do anything with Gear Dungeon 2?
Gear Dungeon 2. I've been told that you can use him in Gear Dungeon 2. Gear Dungeon 2 is my bane. I've cracked Gear Dungeon 1, Gear Dungeon 2. I finally got an Edith, and I've just not managed to push stage 9 yet. So, if I manage to find a video of Kai in Gear Dungeon 2, I will put a link to it, and I'll put a clip of it just running in the background here. But he can be used. I know he can be used on this map to hold people up and to hold people up and on the map and do lots of damage, especially when you've got like the sycophants coming in over here. But yeah, I don't know if if it's going to make a big difference. Maybe you'll get some early shots in up there and take them out, but would it be more effective to have him shooting that way, trying to take those guys, trying to slow that mob down?
So when it was 6 stages, when Gear Dungeons were 6 stages, at least in Forerunner account, I was able to clear stage 3 at that time with Kai placed on the top, and he was aimed towards the sycophants. He did fine, clear them. 4, 5, 6 is where things could start getting complicated, but at least when I was able, at least in that stage, he was clearing them. Now that his AoE damage is doing more damage, he should be able to take care of them, no problem. So it wasn't all relying on the traps, right? I didn't have to count on the traps. It's all on his AoE and his ultimate. He should be fine. So if you need to clear the early stages of this, you could possibly use him there. No question.
Cool. Right. So yeah, probably viable. Let's have a quick look. See anyone recommended lineups. Anybody using Kai now that he's been done? No, it doesn't look like it. I think these are all pretty standard meta comps. Nothing.
But you're in stage 10. Look at the early stages. See if anything pops in where somebody might have used the Kai recently because of his change.
No, it doesn't look like it. I don't think people have got that adventurous, unfortunately.
No, yeah. I think I might have to toy around with it.
I can definitely see the viability there. I mean, someone's using a Nyx. Yeah, if someone's using a Nyx, you could easily swap that in for a Kai. Would it be more effective?
Kai, yeah.
There's another Nyx there. So anywhere where people are thinking of using Nyx, you could use Kai in these gear dungeons, especially with his ability to boost allies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna
units, but yeah. So
we're not going to be bringing in many marksmen in here. But let's say if you're trying to cover the bottom with Silas or Hex, maybe he gets a little bit of a boost by putting him down. It's just we're going to have to see if how he can be used there.
Right, so that's Gear Dungeon 2, Gear Raid 3. Now, I'm just going to pull up a video of you running Gear Raid 3 on Global. This is Gear Raid 3. Was this 19 that you sent over?
This one was 21 actually.
21.
So
Okay,
I gave you a pod and no pod, but I think that you just wanted to show the difference on his behavior now is in these two.
Yeah, so what we've got, so here we go. So comes in, you place him straight down, bam, places a trap in this top corner. And this is where he like really does well in here. So these guys come out of here, they drop their they come out, they fly on in straight onto this trap, which gives him immediately a lockdown of them. And you're able to get his ultimate off, he can do bonus damage to them all, and that made him really effective at taking them out. Now with his talent change, those don't count as adjacent tiles.
No.
Which is going to be slightly unfortunate. We'll just wait for these guys to come out the top corner. And we'll see.
My counter argument to you was I didn't think it was, because now you're not relying on the traps to do the damage, and his ultimate, at least in the test server, and I actually pulled him back on his gear. So instead of using Soulbar Arcana, I went to a Wisdom set. And when I put him in 21 and I tested the ultimate, he almost cleared the wave without the traps.
Okay.
So it's like whatever deficiency you lost because of the traps, and the traps do have defense reduction in this case here if you get him up to A3. But whatever deficiency you lost there is thoroughly made up by the amount of damage that the ultimate is doing now.
So what happens now is we come into here. Let me just check that Silas has got gear on him. That would probably have helped my run earlier. Quite impressive what score I got with him in no gear. Okay, so Silas has got gear on. Does Setram have gear? Of course, Setram won't have gear because that would just be too straight. Why is it defaulting to faction? Moonton, what are you doing?
Let me go check out mine. Is it defaulting to faction? No, mine is in rarity. I think it's just messing with you.
It's just messing. I think it's LD player. It's obviously set something somewhere, and it's just messing everything up in the background. Right, there we go. Well, there goes my arena position. Right, so here we go. We've got Setram geared, we've got him geared, and this is all we need because Alora is also geared. Yep. So we only need 4 people to run on my runs. So here we go. This is a Power of Dominance run. I'm not doing it to show off anything other than the fact that Kai is working differently now. And yeah, it worked. As soon as I'm able to place him in on the left-hand side, I will do. I might even speed this up in editing. Yeah, and now he's got more rage to start with, and he places his trap, but he places it right by his shoulder. But his AoE damage is big, so he just takes everything out there.
How much rage did he gain from that? It almost looks like it looked like 50%, didn't it?
It was a fair amount, yeah.
Yeah. But it's already ready. You're ready to go for the next one.
Well, I do have an Elo in the corner as well.
Oh, okay. We got to take into account that extra 20% or whatever it was.
we'll take her out, and then we'll see what happens for the next one. He's only in there just to stop Silas from dying. Right. So that was about 25% he jumped straight to there.
Okay, so now that hold on. So now that Aurora is doing damage, how much is that? Slow down, slow. Oh, she's gonna take the rest out. I was gonna say the first couple of hits. I wanted to see if then you would withdraw Kai. How much
bonus damage?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to see how much more damage he was doing. But the point stands, right? You're gonna get more damage out of your marksman with Kai on the field. So
yeah. And yeah, 15% bonus damage. 10% bonus damage for 20, or up to 20% damage for up to 15 seconds after his ultimate is triggered and he killed someone. Then yeah, that's a big help in stages like Gear A3, especially if you're just trying to push it for the first time. Now, he's more expensive than Maul, and a lot of people go, "Oh, but Maul is better." And it's like, yeah, but he's doing something different, and he's boosting his allies, whereas Maul is very much he's doing it on his own. Now, if you're looking for someone to try and help you push through a stage for the first time because your gear isn't quite there, this is going to be the guy to help you do that.
agreed. So the fact, yeah. So I will concede. I'm conceding. Yes, the talent is not effective anymore there, but his ultimate and the fact that he's gaining rage and he's boosting all the other marksmen around with him, it totally makes up for it. Now, if you indulge me, why don't we go to the GBG map, because I want a picture as to how people might be using him there, because you and I are in overload for both. At least I am in both servers, and we don't see Kai. There's no shot to see Kai right now. So I just want to go to. Oh, it's locked. I don't know if you can do it through friendlies or.
We can't adjust teams through friendlies.
No, that's. So I was just because I was trying to get an idea.
At the map. So Tower 1. So here we go. Here's a tower. Here's a tower map.
Okay.
So what people are probably doing is placing him on this tile here next to Elder facing this way. So he's got some incoming stuff. There's a trap there to lock people down. You've probably got someone like a Silas up here, and maybe you've got your Araka just up here again, providing further lockdown for your Silas. And then I don't know. It's very Silas dependent. This entire build, this entire map set up, and then you've got your healer and your defender here. That's the only way I can think that you might use him if he was positioned there. Now, maybe if he's positioned at the top, aiming down, because you occasionally see Nyx up at the top, pacing down. So you've got traps as soon as they come in, provide some defense down, makes them a bit more vulnerable.
I guess
you're not going to be able to get the traps there.
At Secret, you see that, but we are getting around, like, for example, Dahlia's flowers or Mary's, slow. It's just, I'm wondering why people think that specific, the trap utility is going to be such a disqualifying factor for him to be used here. Because I'm thinking if you use him on top, and you're not depending on the traps, his ultimate's AoE damage should make up for it, right? And then depending on how many
his ultimate is going to be death to spiders and so 10 units, that's 2 lots of spiders and your suicides. Yeah? That's your entire combat team hit with his ultimate. So
okay, so
and he's hitting people 5 people a time with his singles. So he's going to be actually quite an effective anti-bomb strategy if you can get his rage up fast enough.
Yeah, that I mean, you pair him up with an element. He starts already with a high rage.
Yeah.
You might have to time it a little bit better. It takes a little bit more precision to do that. So I'm okay. I do not use Kai for this, and it's easy to get around him, at least in the type of levels that we play in. But I see more of an opportunity for him when it comes to his AoE damage, doing more there. And like you said, if they're trying to send in swarms, he should be able to help with that. Then trying to rely on the trap, I just don't. I guess people are gonna have to in the comment section. They're gonna have to tell us exactly how it is that Kai was helping their defenses with the traps instead of taking the extra damage that now you're getting from his ultimate. And then if you bring in another marksman, that unit is going to get a little bit of a damage boost. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
it's
to be
going to be
sold
interesting to
that
see.
it's bad for GBG.
Yeah, I guess if you've got your heavily star piercer based team and you're using his trap to hold down something like a lightning guard to stop it becoming problematic, then that's going to be the deciding factor.
Okay, all right. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But let's just say overall. So if we were to be grading this on a scale of A through F, I will say, okay, let's give him an A on damage, but the talent, given that some people like the traps and we rely on the traps, all right, let's give that a D. So maybe overall we'll give him a B. But the change that they made to him, it makes him so much viable, makes him so much better than when he was. He was garbage in his previous form. So now he's actually a little bit better, if not on par to like Rasak. And now he even might be more competent than Maul in GR3. And he has all this stuff with his passives that just gives you extra damage, extra rage. So, yeah,
especially when
I like it.
Yeah, especially when this is the second upgrade we've had to a hero recently, a second rework we've had on a hero, a significant rework we've had on a hero. Celine being the other one, so who's just about to come to global. Obviously, you've got the Shard Summon starting next week. And she was kind of missing something previously. And by them going away and rethinking about her kit and making it more about the sharp, fast attacks that with her rapier, that she's actually going to can put out some serious damage numbers. I've had her doing more damage than almost as much damage as Zillitu in Nightmare Void Rift on the farming stages. Gold farming stages. Okay, it's not the most challenging of levels, but she is a tanky unit who can put out the damage. And Zillitu is a little bit on the squishy side. We don't like to admit it, but she is. And she's now got this potential to do a lot of damage, especially if you're unfortunate enough to have a Giselle in your roster. So this is definitely a potential for the future of some of the heroes who are a little bit on the lackluster side. Forerunners,
So,
obviously, we have Carossa. She's, I'm hoping she's next.
oh yeah, Carosa. Yep. She's still. I think that she might be the next eventually fusion, right? Because we're gonna need more Philippus to show up in the global server eventually as well. So, but just to close this out, I just want to get into the hypothetical here. Let's decide what would be our best artifact, exclusive artifact for Kai.
Floating bombs.
Do we give him
floating traps?
Do we give him more chance? I was joking around. It's like maybe finally give him the opportunity to make his traps float in water. But I was thinking, is they seem to like to kind of copy the general ones that we have. To me, it would be giving him more rage, if at all possible, or add more projectiles to do damage. to come back to that ultimate a little bit quicker.
Yeah, or like, but can his his basic does plus now targets +2 enemies or something. So yeah, that's something like that. And then his ultimate, yeah. I think something like the Reaper's Emblem is really quite good for him because he's quite efficient at killing things off. So if it was built off that, so and yeah, and then you threw in a Susan of Rage on there as well, I think that would be really, really good for him.
So we would do like increase 3% damage, or should we do more like 20% AoE plus rage?
I think
I
think
would
you get, yeah, be nice, but I don't think they're going to give us that much.
No, but I'm just saying, I'm just talking about the ideal one here. Something that would
Yeah.
make him a little bit more, maybe bring him on par to Nyx or something like that. So that would be kind of my idea for an exclusive on him.
Nyx is very much dependent on her penetration is what makes her so good at,
Right.
especially at A5. So if you're going to do that, it's going to have to like really push up that defense, that penetration, to make him more effective. I mean, 5% penetration, I don't think is going to get him keeping pace. But his bombs and his extra rage regen are quite effective.
Because Rasax, he does take a little bit more damage, but eventually it gives him 25, so it'd be 27, 25, 30, 30. I think it gives him 14% fully level more damage for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So for him, given how his ultimate behaves, I would say AoE damage over a certain period of time. That would be my idea for his exclusive. Because
Yeah,
I
I
do
think that'd be
think
a
that
nice one.
everything plays to his ultimate and builds up rage and does more damage.
But I do think Moonton need to look at that, what he's trying to do with his traps. If his traps aren't going to be going to be an effective part of his kit, ditch them. Don't just like leave them there like a useless limb, like a sick finger that nobody wants. Cut it off. It's not working. Get rid of it. Everything else in with his kit is now working well. They're targeting multiple enemies. They're giving rage. The bigger ultimate, but the traps now are just hanging there limply. Put them out of their misery.
Yeah,
Do something
I
different.
think maybe they expand it to two, the adjacent 2-tile range instead of just the within his range. Maybe extend it out a little bit more. But maybe that would satisfy some of the people that relied on the traps.
Yeah.
But I just thought when I went in and looked at his new kit and started testing him out, I was really concentrating on the traps because of the getting out with his ultimate. It's just, to me, it made up for it. It wasn't the amount of damage that he was just, because I don't think you're going to have to worry about slowing people down because you can't do enough damage. You're just blowing them out. So
yeah,
maybe that was my summary on that, and I just thought the perfect way to show that off would be in the Torrent, because that is the perfect spot for him to illustrate how much more damage he's doing now.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if I just jump back to the Torrent, you'll see how much damage he did in that last run, in comparison to an ungeared Silas, apparently. So there, it's half of what Nyx is doing, but he was still like the top damage dealer outside of Nyx. So, and she was right by the spawn point, and she's fully skilled, and he isn't. So that just shows you like the potential he's got for causing absolute chaos.
You got it. Yep. So yeah, like I said, I don't mind them. I like the new form of Kai. We can definitely talk about in the future if we need to rework the talent. But as of right now, I think that I will take the extra damage over whatever they did to the traps.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree.
All right. Well, Arturos, it was fun talking with you, talking watcherofrealms with you again. 2 weeks off was too long. So
Yeah, it's good
very,
to have you
very good
back.
topic to come back to. it's a good topic to come back to, especially when we're talking about a hero that needed a little bit of a oomph. And I also have in my notes to hopefully make some time to test a new Celine, because I do want to see what you're seeing and see how good she can be, especially with the Giselle bond. That's the thing that intrigues me.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll see you next time, and thank you for tuning in to What's Going On.
Whoa.